Entrepreneur MBA podcast purpose is to help existing business owners grow their companies past the 10 million in revenue per year benchmark. Here is your host, Stephen Halasnik.
Welcome, everyone. My name is Stephen Halasnik, and I am co-founder of Financing Solutions. Financing Solutions provides easy to set up lines of credit for small businesses, and I will be your host for today's Entrepreneur MBA podcast. If you are interested in learning more about a line of credit for your business, which I would highly recommend, only because I've had one for probably over 25 years, please visit our website at fscreditline.com. That's FS as in Financing Solutions, creditline.com. Over the last 25 years, I have built 6 companies in the $5 million to $25 million range, including 2 companies that have made the Inc. 500 fastest growing companies in the United States. I love learning from people with business experience, and today I'm excited to be speaking with Urislav Giagiv. And I know I'm pronouncing that last name wrong, and I'm going to ask him in a second how to pronounce it, and Rohan Khan from Orange Trail. Urislav and Rohan have scaled Orange Trail from 0 employees to over 400 clients in over 1 year period. Orange Trail provides whitelisted agency ad accounts for Facebook, Google, TikTok, Twitter, Snapchat, and Taboola. These ad accounts are much harder to get blocked with unlimited spending limits and the highest tier of support. It's the absolute safest way to scale your advertising in the modern digital advertising world. Urislav and Rohan, welcome today to the Entrepreneur MBA podcast.
Thanks for inviting us.
So Urislav and Rohan are both calling us. We're calling in from Bulgaria, and even before we got on the air, I had to, Google it. Like most Americans, I don't always know my geography. Although I've traveled to Greece, which is not far from there, so I kind of get it. And I think it's the first person I've ever had out of the 700 podcasts from Bulgaria. So today we're going to be kind of talking about, and this is a little bit more advanced conversation about how to scale Facebook ads, Google, TikTok, Twitter, Snapchat, and others. And for some of you who have found this podcast through SEO, you're maybe a little bit more in depth. But for those of you who maybe do a lot of advertising or have done limited advertising like I have on Facebook and others, this maybe we'll get into some more nuts and bolts as well. So before we begin, what I'd like to do is either Urislav or Rohan to just tell us a little more about what their company actually does.
Sure. Do you want to go? Sure. Sure. Let me just give quick context from our side. So, by the way, it's Yaroslav Georgiev, just to correct. But we
that's easy.
are an agency. Yes. So we are an agency. However, we're not a traditional advertising agency in a sense that clients pay us money. We go and we do the ads for them. No, what we do is we provide the advertising infrastructure. So we provide agency ad accounts, which are much harder to get blocked with unlimited spending limits and just the highest level of support and compliance solutions. So we have a great relationship with ASPs for all the largest platforms, Facebook, Google, TikTok, Twitter, Snapchat, and we are able to provide this more premium level support and service. What a lot of people find, even if they spend a lot of money on ads, Facebook ads, Google ads, whatever, is that the support on these platforms is very bad. And this is because these platforms they're very overstretched. They don't have enough resources to invest in good support. A lot of the time it's very like a junior level employee in let's say Southeast Asian country. And they don't really understand like the nuances of the platform, how to solve certain issues. So that's where we plug the gap in the market. That's what we do. We are able to provide a much higher level support in essence, and in effect, helping advertisers spend much more, which means that advertisers make more money, Facebook and Google and the platforms make more money, and just like a win-win situation. That's in a nutshell what we do.
So will ad agencies come to you because they're struggling with so I would assume, let me test my understanding here. You have a Facebook ad that it's working, but all of a sudden Facebook disallows your ad, to simplify it. And you're like, what the heck? What am I doing wrong here? My ad was working. It's making me money and I want to spend, but I can't. And they're taking forever to get back to them about what the problem is. So then forget about the agency, but then the company or the agency comes to you and says, what are we doing wrong here? Is that accurate?
Yeah, that would actually be one of the main reasons why our clients come to us. And the clients vary. There's a wide spectrum of what kind of clients we have, Stephen. So we have, individual advertisers that would have like a drop shipping store themselves, or we might have a huge brand who, the brand owner is not really reaching out to us, but their media buyers or their marketing team is. And then, as you just said, an agency would also contact us and say, hey guys, we have like 20 clients right now. 5 of them are having issues. What can we do? And the biggest reason that they come to us is it's like a final resort thing where they've exhausted all the other options. They've tried to run ads themselves. They've tried to appeal when they're getting rejected or banned, and support just doesn't give them an answer in time, or they do give them an answer, which is, this is a final decision. You're permanently restricted. Good luck. So what do you really do in that case? Well, that's kind of where we come in. We're solving a really acute pain point in the advertising industry where there's really not much, help out there. And the only logical help is through the traditional channels of support, like contacting their live chat or emailing them. But as Ari just mentioned, and this is no fault to the platforms, the platforms are hiring customer support staff. They're outsourcing it obviously because of, cost to Southeastern Asian, countries. And they're just following a script. They may not have run ads ever in their lives either. So they may not always have the answers either. There's like this one kind of gap in the area where nobody really knows what to do. And we come in there and we solve the solutions.
So I forgot the question I was going to ask. This is the first time I've ever done that. Anyway, I know what it was. So it wasn't so much a question. Yeah, I guess it was. It's based on, I guess your company is really based on experience, right? It's having dealt with so many different clients and seeing, I'm sure is the documentation that these companies providing good in that if you read the documentation, you could see what they're going to ban and what they're not, or is it just changing on a constant basis?
Yeah. So often it's actually the algorithms that are messing up. So let me just provide some context.
Yeah.
So what happens is when you run an ad and it goes into the review process, it's not really a human reviewing it. These platforms have set up automated algorithmic systems in place, which is scanning your landing page, scanning your ad, and just it's all automated at that stage. When human contact comes in is when there's a need for higher level escalation or manual reviews placed in the process. If you understand what I mean.
So you still have 400 clients? Do you have more than 400 clients now?
I believe it's a bit over 400 right now, but
it's over 400 and growing. Yeah.
Okay, so I'm just have to ask this question: out of the 400, what percentage of those are actually located in the United States?
Probably around 75 to 80%
of it. Okay, and so have you started to see a vertical of clients that come to you often? Like I noticed, before we got on air, you're talking about one of your clients that does CBD, right? Is there a vertical that you found that has that serious problem of being blacklisted that comes to you often?
Yeah, it's not just one, Stephen.
So it's not just one industry that you've seen a lot of?
Let me just quick fire tell you a few of them. So we have melatonin, CBD, vape, sports betting, These are kind of in line with the usual ones that are, they're coming up now. Obviously, CBD, cannabis, everything being legalized. This has opened the floodgates for a lot of, boom in this industry. And of course, rather than selling traditionally with brick and mortar businesses, what some of them are doing is diversifying their traffic source to online, digital, social ads. But as you probably realize, it's too new, it's too recent. The platforms have not really updated their policy guidelines to cater for these emerging industries. So in those cases, they really do need compliance support. And let me give you an example of how we would make a brand like this fully compliant to run social ads. If they have a landing page where they have their product, their descriptions on their website, our compliance manager would audit that and look at what kind of text they have on that landing page. For example, exaggerated claims is one of the most commonly violated policy for platforms. You cannot make really large exaggerated claims. They must be within the limits of what that product can or has done in the past. But if you overpromise, that's a huge no-no in the eyes of the platforms. Because remember, a lot of these platforms care more about the user experience for their their profiles, their customers, rather than businesses, taking advantage of them.
Yep. So, your experience, is it better? So it must be awfully. Listen, I don't do that. We don't do that much advertising in any social media. It hasn't been effective for us. But I would imagine the problem that a lot of people have is when you have this ad that's working and you want to tweak it, and you got to go back to the review process again. Yeah, is that true? Is that typically a problem?
Well, to be honest, anybody that really seriously spends money on Facebook and on any ads, they have many concurrent ads. They have many ads in parallel going, active. So, I mean, yeah, of course, when you want to tweak an ad, it goes back in review, but that's not really it's not like a massive kind of issue that people talk about in the space because, they have hundreds of ads live at the same time. So.
No. Okay. All right. Because I would think that once you got an ad approved, that the last thing you want to do is kind of, make a small change because it goes back through the review process again. And then you're worried. I guess you could always switch it back to the old ad, right?
Yeah, of course. So, just to confirm there, of course, what you're saying is true. Sorry. I think there's a delay.
That's okay. So what have you learned over the years that you've been doing this now? What have you learned about if someone's creating ads, and what have you learned to be that really is something they have to work on?
So you mentioned earlier, Stephen, this comes from experience. You're absolutely right. We ran ads ourselves. Ari had an agency who was doing the direct response ads for his clients, and there were many big brands, 7-8 figure brands. But I had my own brands. I had my own stores that I was manually running my own ads for. And it wasn't some small amount. I've run millions in ad spend on Facebook alone, let alone, TikTok and Snapchat and other platforms. And the one major recurring issue that I noticed was no matter what the product is, no matter what your marketing materials are, you can get a type of ban that's known as a false positive ban, which, as the name suggests, it may not always be an accurate representation of you representing you violating a policy, but instead it's a false positive. It means that the platform's algorithm thinks that you broke policy, restricts you temporarily, and then you appeal it, and maybe after a week or so you get it back. So that was one such issue that we noticed that happens quite often. And as you just said, even if you edit a live ad, it can reset the optimization. But when you get banned, and even if it comes back a few days later, a week later, that also resets the optimization. So you're kind of like back to square one with optimization. And if anyone is listening out there who has run ads, they know the importance of ad set optimization, campaign optimization, because what happens is usually after day 2, 3, that's when the algorithm gets enough spend from you and enough pixel fires that the campaigns and the ad set starts to optimize. It starts to find your pockets of audiences that are most likely to convert for you. But if that optimization is constantly resetting, that's helping nobody.
How do you bill your clients? Do you bill them on an hourly basis? Do you bill them on a percentage basis of what they spend? How does it work?
Yeah, so clients they top up typically through bank transfer. So they top up their ad accounts through us. So they send us the funds and we send over to the platforms, and then we charge a monthly fee, typically $500 per month, and then a percent of their ad spend, and then typically 3%.
Okay. And so I let's go back to the original question I had, and because I know you said it's a variety of verticals that work with you, but do you find that it's the ad agencies, the SEO companies, or the actual clients that are working with you?
Yeah, I definitely think it's a spectrum, Stephen. So probably it's about half, maybe 60% are direct brand owners, advertisers, and then around 40% are agencies who also have clients with them. And the vertical, the common one is e-commerce. Whether that be a drop shipping store, a brand. Then we have other verticals like lead gen, leads, people selling leads for legal or whatever. And then we have, digital info, like for example, people selling courses. We have affiliate marketers. So it is quite a wide spectrum of what people are selling on our accounts. But in terms of, just to answer your question, anyone can actually come to us as long as they have a compliant white hat offer. What I mean by that is that you're not actually violating policy and running something shady or scamming people. You are eligible. But also there's a threshold of spend that we kind of set just to filter out people that it may not make sense for them to use our accounts. We generally only work with people that are spending minimum $10,000 per month.
Yep. What about you? I mean, have you not worked with a company because you thought they were completely unethical?
Yeah, I mean that's definitely in the advertising space, of course, there's a wide spectrum. There's very, very legit companies, but there are also on the other end of the spectrum, there's companies or people or entities that let's say don't have those morals or ethics. So yeah, 100% we screen very hard, and we don't work with clients where they seem they don't have those ethics. If, for example, they're running black hat ads, which is pretty much ads that are very against policy, on the very much scamming. So there's a lot of people try to do that. We don't work with any people or entities like this.
Well, I mean, it must be a fine line because let's say you have a client who is, CBD is a good example, right? It's not very well studied, right? I don't know it that well, but it's not really studied that well, right? And the owner of that company wants to sell the product, and I'm sure they come to you and they're like, well, we could, it helps this and this helps this and it helps this. And I guess all you guys are concerned with is, will Facebook and the other social engines allow it? You're not concerned with the fact that maybe what he's saying is not true. It's like, oh, so it helps arthritis, right? But there's no studies that show that it helps arthritis,
No,
right?
that we definitely audit also their creatives. We look at what they're promoting and what behind the scenes they have. If it's aligned and it's congruent, we look at these factors, because if we just left it to whether Facebook will accept it or not, well, they could present us with something that Facebook will accept, but on the back end run something shady, right? So as Ari said, our compliance checks are very thorough. Not only do we have a signed agreement with every single client with their entity and their details, which clearly states in the clauses you must not have misleading ads or anything shady. But aside from that, we also regularly audit client ads just to make sure they're not doing anything risky. But your point is fair. Where is the data at the end of the day? How do you know what they're saying is true or not? We just kind of look at as a whole, do they have a functioning working product? And that, functioning could be up for debate, but are they sending said product? How is their customer service? How are their delivery times? Because look, there are people in the industry that would sell something and not even ship it. Again, it comes down to this morals and ethics. There's a lot of drop shippers that would do, run ads, get the sale, but not ship anything, just close down their accounts, take the money, and control C, control V, repeat again. So we do look at multiple factors. We also get on calls with them just to understand who is the person behind the screen.
Give me a typical day. I assume you're both pretty hands-on in this company, correct?
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
so give me a typical day of what you're doing on it for yourself at the company. You know, you could pick a client that you're working with now. We don't need to know who they are, but tell me a little bit about what you do.
Yeah, it's a very good question. I mean, typically, we're at the stage where we are growing fast. We have over 25 employees, and we are evolving as leaders as well. So yes, we do get down in the trenches when needed. However, of course, we are very focused on growing the company. In essence, for example, hiring the best people. We can focus on hiring people to help grow the company, or finding new ways, new channels, new funnels to grow the company. We try to, of course, focus on the highest leverage tasks, building the team, growing the company. But of course, there's many cases where we need to get in the trenches ourselves to, I don't know, maybe there's a certain fire, a certain client is complaining about certain thing and our team really needs our help. For example, we would step in.
So if you have a client, so granted, I didn't realize you had 25 employees. So they're probably the ones that are doing, I would imagine you have quite a number of group meetings to share with everybody something you've learned from an existing client. So like say, hey, now Facebook isn't allowing this type of thing anymore. So you're sharing that with everybody. Is that fair to say?
Yeah, our week is structured where start of the week, every Monday, we have a board meeting, which has
Yep.
all of the different departments in there. And we discuss the highest level updates, any issues for the previous week, what went well, what didn't go well. And just to kind of give you an overview of how the day-to-day looks. So we have multiple departments. We have finance, we have legal, we have biz dev, we have ops, and then also the marketing team. So on every single front, we need to have meetings with them per week. And obviously, at this level, we can't really be doing the nitty gritty stuff ourselves because it's just not a good use of our time. One of the key ways to really grow is just to delegate and focus on the high leverage task. So, what we might do from a typical day is have a call with finance and say, okay, are the invoices being sent on time? Is there any issues with collection? Some clients don't pay up on time. So, that would be that. On the operations side, we actually have a very good operation system built, which is Monday to Friday, we provide 24-hour support because we have account managers in pretty much every time zone across US, Europe, and Asia. There's cross coverage, 24/5 support Monday to Friday. And because of that, clients can in Slack and say a request like, hey, I need to top up, and we just issue the invoice. Or if they need to request someone to be added or removed from their accounts or just some questions. So again, that's led by the senior operations manager who under her has a lot of the assistants, right? Because again, I couldn't just talk to every single assistant. There's like 7 or 8 of them. So instead, I just talk to, or Ari just talks to the manager who then talks to the others. So a lot of this requires delegation. In terms of the day-to-day with the clients, the typical requests would be, for example, Steven says, hey, my account is running low. I need to top up. Because remember, it's a prepay model and you spend funds that you put on the account. So you would request top-ups. You would request to add or remove an access for a member. You might have a question about, can this run? Am I okay to run this ad? You might have a question related to compliance, something else. So these are the day-to-day requests that are handled on the operations side. And then the higher level stuff, as I mentioned, we take meetings.
Well, why do you have to, why does it have to run through you? Like, not, what's the right word? I'm just a little bit surprised that the client doesn't have their own account and they just said they send the ads to you, you approve it, and then they run their own ads. Instead, it sounds like you are running the ads for the client. Is that fair?
No, that's not the situation. So the way it works is we share the agency accounts to the client, and then they run their own ads.
Okay. So, is every ad that a client running reviewed by you guys?
No, not every ad.
Not every. We just take the.
Because you certainly would want to, I would want every ad run by you guys because I don't want it to get blacklisted. That's not the right word. Rejected, right?
Yes.
Because it then I have a problem coming back again. It just takes so long for them to give me an answer, you know. So I would probably say I'd want you to look at all my ads and say, yeah, this one's good. It's not going to have any problems.
Yeah, the thing is, imagine how much time that takes, because each client probably has at once 30 to 50, 100 ads going on. So instead, what we do, we have a slightly different approach. We give them the autonomy to run the ads. When we see issues happening, like disapprovals, that's when we step in and say, hey, what's going on? Do you need help?
Oh.
And they say, yes, we need
So
help.
it's only a disapproved ad that you'll get involved with?
Disapproved, or if our reps have some concerns like, hey, this ad might be a little bit bordering on the policy, have a chat with the client.
How come you don't get involved in actually helping them do the creative? It kind of makes a lot of sense for your business, doesn't it? To add that as an additional service?
Yeah. So here's why. It's just we provide it's just about the scalability factor. So out of the hundreds of clients that we have, to be able to do our best work on the compliance side and the support side, we're able to deliver that with, let's say, 10 full-time operations people. If we're actually going to be doing the creative work and the actual creating the ads for 400 clients, we're going to need at least 50 to 60 people. So it's one factor, it's the scalability. Having said that, for a very small select few clients where we see a really good fit, we have actually ran ads for them. However, typically our core service is providing the infrastructure and the support and the compliance support.
I have to ask this question. Because you both speak excellent English, certainly. And when you run your meetings at your company, do you do the meetings in English or do you do it in your native language?
Yeah. Go ahead, Ron.
I didn't say anything.
No, I was going to say the company language is English because we have employees from everywhere. We have people in Colombia, in South Africa, in Serbia, Philippines. So everyone speaks in English to each other.
Gotcha. Any issues with people who don't speak English that well?
We just wouldn't hire them.
You just wouldn't hire them.
I mean, yeah.
Well, considering 75% of your clients are US based, it's.
You meant on the client side. Well, some of our operations team just go into Google Translate
and just do that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Cool. All right. So let me ask you this. I'll give you each this opportunity. Let's say, Rohan, what question did I not ask that I should have asked?
One of the questions that we get quite often that I'm surprised you didn't ask, Stephen, was why and where do you see yourself with this company? But also,
but I wasn't interviewing your company as how did you build it? That's completely different subject matter.
Fair enough. Well, then the second part of that question would be, why did you choose this? And I have a very good answer for that, which is, and this is from just years of, this is my fourth 7-figure business. And it's a similar trend that I follow every time, which is to identify problems and reverse engineer solutions from that problem. And as Elon Musk always says, you get paid in proportion to the level of problems you solve. The bigger the problem, the more you get paid. Now, if money is not really the goal, fair enough. That will come as a byproduct. But you providing solutions to problems, that is probably the best way you could grow. And especially when it comes to running ads for said service or product at the top of funnel. For example, someone seeing your ad for the first time, it's much easier to convert someone for a product that is solving a pain point that they face every day compared to maybe a luxury product that it's not really a problem-solving product, but it's something that would be nice to have on the coffee table or something. So the whole premise for Orange Trail was based on the fact that there's a huge pain in the industry for advertising and no or little solutions to it. And that's how the company came together. And this is advice that anyone can take moving forward, whether that be a brick and mortar business or some service or product. Reverse engineer from a huge problem and look at what are the solutions out there. If there's a gap, there's a possibility for a blue ocean.
Yeah, but I would add to that, and I don't want to, I think Elon Musk has certainly been more successful than me. But there's also got to be a scalability to it as well, which is an issue in your company, right? Your industry is going to be, how can we scale this company, because it really requires a lot of human involvement. And the fact that you have 25 employees already means that you're learning how to scale. So I'm not telling you how to run your business, but from the businesses I've run, I would just tell you that one of the criteria, especially now that I've had a number of very large companies, is one of the things I look for, and I'm done looking for companies to start, but is, can this company scale well? Because there could be a problem that you're like, listen, let's face it, you could be a lawyers solve problems, right? But you can only bill so many hours if you're a lawyer, right? And so, so there's got to be that scalability issue as well.
Just really quickly, if I could counter to that, just a quick one. So completely see your point. However, your industry that you mentioned is a little bit different. In the advertising industry, one of our operations managers can cater for up to 50 clients. That's unheard of in traditional advertising agencies to run the ads and integrate the creatives.
Yeah,
and
I would never pick the advertising agency industry to go into as a business, but that's a different story. Jaroslav, what were you going to say?
Yeah, I just wanted to add to that point. So what Rohan said is very correct. So we're much more scalable than a typical advertising agency because we provide the infrastructure, the compliance, and also, in essence, if you really break it down, we are selling digital billboards in a sense. So we're digital advertising space, and digital advertising space, i.e. ad spend, that scales. So whether a client tops up $1,000 or $1 million, it costs us the same amount of time to actually process that.
Yep.
So that's actually one very big factor.
Yep. Yeah, no, I get it. I mean, in essence, you're not even having to be that creative, honestly. It's about sharing information about what's allowed and what's not allowed. Is that fair to say?
I mean, it goes deeper, I would say. For sure, we need to provide good support, and we really, really, really need to understand the nuances of the platforms, because you can really go down the rabbit hole of like really understanding how to use the platform as best as you can. So if it's just sharing information, a lot of things they can just Google, but it's more so a combination of information plus know-how, plus understanding the nuances, plus an element of problem solving as well. So it's a combination of all those unique factors.
Well, good. Well, it sounds like a good business. Congratulations. It's exciting. I remember those days when I was growing leaps and bounds, and how crazy that was. So anyway, I want to thank you both for coming on today. And I want to thank both Jaroslav and Rohan from Orange Trail. And if you want to, I'll ask certainly them in a second, but their website is orangetrail.io. For coming on today's podcast. And if you like today's podcast, please feel free to share it with a friend, and also subscribe on your favorite podcasting app. And please, if you like today's podcast or any of the other ones that we've done, please give us a 5-star review. And if you're looking for a line of credit for your business, please visit our website at fscreditline.com. That's FS as in Financing Solutions, creditline.com. Jaroslav and Rohan, although I did give out your website, again, it's orangetrail.io. If anyone wants to get in touch with you guys, how would they go about doing that?
Yeah. So pretty much, go to orangetrail.io. You can book a call there, and that has all the information. We're also on Instagram, but I would say the website is probably the best place.
Great. So this is my takeaway from today. I cannot imagine if you are spending, a lot of money on these platforms, how you would not bring in Orange Trail. As far as if you're getting lots of ads that are being not accepted, to me, it would make complete sense, because once you've determined that your ads are driving a profitable business, make sure it's, I don't need to go into that profitable business. Then, you just want to get as much ad spend out there as you possibly can. And so I can't see why you wouldn't use Orange Trail. And it sounds like these guys are going to have a really, really good business going forward. So other than that, I want to wish everybody a great day, both in the United States and in Bulgaria and elsewhere. So have a good day, everybody.
Cheers.